In 2018, a new app launched in India and did something no growth textbook would allow. It turned people away. If your credit score was below 750, you couldn't get in. You were refused at the door. In a country where almost every app was desperate for the next 100 million users, this one built a wall and kept most of the country out. And the thing it let the chosen ones do, once they were inside, was pay their credit card bills. The single most boring financial task there is, an app that rejects most of its market to reward a task nobody enjoys. It should have been a tiny niche product. Instead, it became one of the most talked about companies in India, sponsored the IPL, and got to a multi-billion-dollar valuation. So what was the rejection actually doing? Most people look at CRED and see premium branding. That's the surface, and it's the wrong read. The credit score wall wasn't a velvet rope to look exclusive. It was a filter that manufactured one specific thing: trust. Everyone inside had already proven they pay their debts. The founder didn't call CRED a fintech. He called it a trust company. The score wasn't keeping poor people out. It was letting only proven reliable people in. And that reliability was the actual product being built. The rejection was the machine. Think about a members club that checks something before you enter. Not how rich you are, whether you've ever skipped out on a bill. Now, why would a bank or a brand or a lender care about a room like that? Because every person in it is pre-verified as someone who pays. You didn't have to do a background check. The door already did it. A normal app collects users. This room collected proof. Every member was walking evidence of good financial behavior. And proof of who pays their debts is something a lot of businesses will pay a great deal of money to get near. Now watch how the pieces build on each other, because this is where it stops being a gimmick. First, the filter creates the asset. By turning away everyone below 750, CRED guaranteed that its entire user base was creditworthy. Not likely creditworthy, verified. That's not a small thing. Most companies spend enormous effort trying to figure out which of their users are financially reliable. CRED knew on day one that all of them were, because the ones who weren't never got in. Second, the exclusion did the marketing for free. When you tell people they can't have something, the ones who qualify feel chosen, and the ones who don't feel a pull toward it. Especially in our country, India. Getting into CRED became a small status signal. So instead of paying to convince people to join, CRED made joining feel like an achievement. The wall that kept people out was the same wall that made people want in. You don't have to spend on desire you've manufactured for free. Third, and this is the part most people miss, the boring task was the point. Paying your credit card bill is a high-intent, high-trust moment. It happens every single month. It involves real money moving from a reliable person. If you wanted to build a habit with exactly the kind of people banks and premium brands dream about, you could hardly design a better hook than the reliable rich showing up monthly in a good mood because you just rewarded them. It was a recurring reason for the right people to open the app. So stack it up. A filter that produces verified trustworthy users. Exclusion that markets itself. A dull monthly task that turns out to be the perfect habit loop. None of those work alone. Together, they're an engine that runs on the thing everyone else throws away, which is the people you say no to. Here's the shape, and you'll see it in more places than you'd expect. Most companies treat their audience as something to maximize. More users, always. But a few build the opposite way. They pick a sharp line, they turn away everyone on the wrong side of it. And the act of exclusion becomes both the filter that makes their users valuable and the reason those users feel special for being chosen. The narrowness isn't a limit on the growth. The narrowness is the growth. Who you reject can define you more powerfully than who you accept. Now I have to be straight with you because there's a clean version of this story and it's dishonest. The clean version says the positioning was genius and therefore CRED is a great business. I can't tell you that and neither can anyone else honestly because it's still an open argument. CRED has been called overvalued. It's been called a solution looking for a problem. An expensive club for the rich that burns more than it makes. Whether the trust asset ever converts into a durable, profitable business is a question that is genuinely not settled. And I'm not going to pretend the marketing brilliance answers it. It doesn't. What I can show you is narrower and more useful. The growth mechanism was real. The exclusion genuinely manufactured trust, genuinely marketed itself, and genuinely built a habit with a valuable group. Whether that clever front end sits on top of a real engine underneath is a separate question. And one of the most important lessons here is learning to tell those two things apart. A brilliant acquisition machine and a sound business are not the same thing. CRED is the clearest case in India of the first and the loudest ongoing argument about the second. So here's the part to sit with. Every founder is taught to widen the door, lower the barrier, remove the friction, let more people in, grow the number, is the default instinct. CRED did the opposite and got more attention than companies chasing everyone. Because a door that turns people away tells the people, it lets in that they're special, and it tells you, the owner, exactly who you're dealing with. The rejection was information and status at the same time. The uncomfortable question isn't how do I get more users? It's whether the people you're letting in mean anything given that you let everyone in. Because a room that anyone can enter is a room where belonging signals nothing. And sometimes the fastest way to be wanted is to be careful about who you say yes to.